Welcome back to Live from Paris. It's time for business, and for that I'm joined by Catherine Nicholson. Hello, Catherine.
Hi, Claire.
Now, as we've been saying in our main news bulletin, of course, tensions are growing between China and Japan over a territorial dispute, and that, of course, has had an important impact on the business side of things.
Very much so. I mean, we've been talking about these Japanese businesses operating on Chinese soil that have been forced to stop operations temporarily or, open-ended periods of time. And we've got to remember that these are Asia's two biggest economies and number 2 and 3 in the world. They have a trade partnership that's worth hundreds of billions of dollars each year. And we have hundreds of Japanese businesses that are now affected, right the way from the big multinationals that we all know very well, sort of the Sonys and Panasonics and the car companies, all the way down to very small family businesses like Japanese restaurants that operate in China. So earlier on, we spoke to our Tokyo correspondent, Gavin Blair, and he gave us more about who's affected and in what ways.
Those companies with large operations in China, such as Honda, are being hit hardest. Honda has now temporarily shuttered its factories in China, along with Panasonic, Mazda, Toyota, and numerous smaller businesses, you were saying. And bilateral trade between China and Japan is now actually $340 billion annually. And with a slowdown in Europe showing few signs of ending, that this is potentially very damaging to both China and Japan, the second and third largest economies in the world. And business leaders on both sides will certainly be hoping that this situation will improve quickly. But with tensions running so high, it doesn't appear there is an end to this on the immediate horizon.
And the heat from all of this is being felt on the Asian markets.
Yeah, so Japanese companies with heavy exposure to China have been impacted on the stock markets there. We can see at the close in Asia, the Nikkei down very firmly. The rest have mainly been down, the Kospi just peeping back up into positive territory there. This is also influenced by what happened on Wall Street, because we had some profit taking going on yesterday after last week's gains. Here in Europe, London, Paris and Frankfurt all opening slightly down. Some data that could have an impact on certain shares throughout the day. European new car sales fell 8.5% in Europe. That figure just coming into us in the last hour or so. This is the 11th monthly fall in a row. Fords and Fiats fared worst, sales dropping 29% and 18% respectively in the month of August.
All right, moving on now to a much gentler row than the one between Beijing and Tokyo, the proposed merger of defence industry giants BAE Systems and EADS. The French finance minister says the deal must be examined thoroughly before his government will approve it. The French, German, Spanish and British governments all have a say on the $45 billion deal, but both companies have said they'll call off the merger if the politicians demand too much.
It's a blockbuster deal that would create the world's biggest aerospace company. But talks of a merger between British defence industry supplier BAE Systems and the Airbus parent company EADS have raised government concerns across Europe.
We are asking a lot of questions concerning as well the strategic interest of such a merger, the industrial effect, the future of our defense industry, and the employment in France.
The French and German governments both hold big stakes in EADS, while the British government has a so-called golden share in BAE Systems, which allows it a veto over any takeovers. Paris and Berlin want a similar arrangement under a merged company, but that could fall foul of European internal market rules. The United States, one of BAE's biggest customers, is worried too. They're said to be seeking a guarantee their military technologies won't be leaked. The shareholder governments are thought to be supportive of the merger in principle, but the companies will need to tread carefully. Under UK law, they have until the 10th of October to decide if they want to go ahead with the deal.
Let's take a look now at some news in brief. Sales of alcohol from the Czech Republic have been hit hard at home and abroad after a spate of deaths from poisoned liquor. Autopsies have confirmed 19 people died from drinking suspected bootleg drinks, including vodka. Neighbouring Poland has now banned sales of Czech alcohol after it was found to have killed 2 people there. This comes just days after authorities within the Czech Republic stopped liquor of over 20% proof being sold.
In the United States, the head of a financial brokerage company is admitted to embezzling more than $100 million out of 24,000 customers. Russell Wassendorf Sr. is now facing 24 years in jail for the 20-year-old fraud. Receivers are trying to claw back some of the money to compensate victims by selling off assets. They include a private jet, a publishing company, a restaurant, and even a valuable wine collection.
And Apple's share price has rocketed up to a record high, closing at just under $700 in New York on Monday. This after a record 2 million people pre-ordered the new iPhone 5. The Apple share price has gained almost 70% since the start of the year. Now, as Eurozone unemployment sits at a record high, one Dutch city has an idea on how to get out of work people working again.
Yeah, and it's been quite a talking point in the office this morning. This is the city of Rotterdam, which is running a scheme whereby job seekers accept to work for 1 day per week in order to keep their unemployment benefits after the regular time period has run out. So some people saying this just sounds like forced labour to us. Other people saying, well, it could be a good way to get people out of that spiral of long-term unemployment. Take a look at our report and see what you think.
Every street cleaning team in Rotterdam has at least one part-timer, a job seeker who's come to the end of their unemployment allowance. Like many others in the same situation, Barkani Mimoun works 1 day a week without pay.
At first, I didn't like the idea because I was already looking for work myself. But when they said I would lose my unemployment benefit, I had no choice.
Sweep the streets or lose part of your unemployment benefit. It may seem like harsh treatment, but the local authority disagrees.
It's not a punishment. We're here to help them. When someone loses their job, it's very important they maintain the rhythm of work, that they keep up the habit of getting up in the morning and going to work.
Rotterdam is Europe's biggest port, but the unemployment rate is at 12%, twice as high as elsewhere in the Netherlands. Employment is the #1 priority of local authorities. There's more to the work initiative than free labour. The programme, which has been running for 2 years, also includes professional development courses. It worked for Barkani Mimoun. He's now been recruited full-time by the local authority. But only 1 out of 5 people who join the scheme get a job out of it. Critics say it's ineffective and just a way for the local government to artificially improve its unemployment statistics. Even so, other cities in the Netherlands are considering similar projects.
And that's it for business. Thanks very much, Catherine, and thank you for watching. Do stay tuned to France 24.